To summarize, Betty Who went on the Made It Out podcast, said a lot of lesbophobic things which we'll get into and rightfully got called out for it. This video, by Aria Vels, basically sums up why lesbians have an issue with the things Betty said on that podcast.
It shouldn't be illegal for you to fall in love. It's kind of like, now we've come so far that our community is so strong that now it's like a crime to be straight.
Betty Who said it's practically illegal to be straight in the context of how she is a queer person, has a husband, and feels persecuted by other queer people for it. And this rhetoric perfectly captures the problem that a lot of lesbians have with certain groups of bisexual women, particularly groups of white bisexual women.
I personally think this is a problem with most bisexual women, regardless of race, but let her finish.
There are white bisexual women who seem to always be fighting to be seen as valid as queer, whose pain around being queer is largely about the fear of losing community among queer people when they're with a man. And so when they do date a man, they are uncomfortable with the amount of privilege that they gain because they still want to be aligned with being in this marginalized group. And therefore, they treat their fight for social capital among queer communities as on par with gay and trans people fighting for actual legal and political rights. So then this group of bisexual women can have their cake and eat it too, and Betty Who perfectly exemplifies that. She's able to maintain the legal and political protections of being in a straight relationship by having a husband, while suggesting that actually it is because she is with a man that she is persecuted and marginalized, because gay people don't think she's valid, as if validity is what queer liberation should be striving for, as if gay people who will never be in a heterosexual marriage are obligated to treat her feelings of being a little left out as struggles similar to ours. And then she uses Renee Rapp as her example of a lesbian who she wants to hold space for in case she falls in love with a man, which is ridiculous. Renee Rapp has identified as bisexual before. She has dated men before. So why now do you need to hold space for her in case she changes her mind? Why is it always lesbians that these bisexual women invoke? Because in their mind, they should have the same marginalized status as lesbians, but they resent lesbians who tell them the simple fact that their struggles are not the same when they're open to dating men. So if you're a bisexual woman, particularly a white bisexual woman, this is the kind of rhetoric that even under the guise of joking will get you called lesbophobic, because it is lesbophobic, because you're making the argument that it's still queer to fall in love with a man, and that in fact it's lesbians who have a problem with your attitude about it who are the real bullies, because in your mind, it's actually more evolved to be open to the idea of falling in love with a man. No, keep that shit to yourselves, learn to fight for something for queer people that isn't just your personal social capital in the community.
So now, Miss Heterosexual over here, Amala Ekpunobi has taken it upon herself to defend the homophobe as she usually does. And this heterosexual woman apparently knows more about the oppression lesbians face than actual lesbians themselves. And she apparently has the final say on what is actually homophobic and lesbophobic and what isn't, and gets to decide what actually affects lesbians, and gets to tell us what we have the right to get offended by. Because her being heterosexual, she definitely knows what it's like being a lesbian and knows all the things we go through as lesbians. Now let's hear the stupid things this homophobe had to say about Betty Who and go over why the things she says are stupid.
She called out the alphabet mafia, you know, the 2S LGBTQIA+ community, and now she is getting eaten alive on the internet.
Immediately starting off with a lie, Betty was on that podcast to speak about her own experience, not to, quote-unquote, call out the community. Also, you could have easily just said LGBT community, but you decided to add in all the extra letters and numbers to purposely make it sound ridiculous because you're a homophobe.
On a podcast titled Made It Out, this is apparently a lesbian-centered podcast, whatever that means.
When a podcast is said to be lesbian-centered, I think that means it's a podcast for and about lesbians. I really don't know how slow you have to be not be able to grasp that simple concept.
Her thoughts on identifying as queer, yet ending up with a man, and this has pissed off the LGBTQ+ community, especially the L. The lesbians are not liking it.
Another lie. Lesbians aren't angry because she's with a man. We're angry because she said lesbophobic things. Last time I checked, straight couples aren't the ones who are hated for who they love.
I'm a queer person who was like, I'm probably going to grow up to be gay. And then I became obsessed with a boy. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. It doesn't mean that I am not queer and that I don't represent or like love the queer community and exist in the queer community. A huge part of queerness is like identifying yourself and putting yourself under like, you know, alphabet mafia. It's like, which one are you? And if you change that, I will never forget it. You know, right. Like, it's funny that Renee Rapp is like, you'll never catch me dating a man. I also hold space for her in 10 years. If she goes, oops, I met the love of my life and it's this man. I didn't mean to. It's
right.
Like, that's okay. You know, it shouldn't be like, it shouldn't be illegal for you to fall in love. It's kind of like, now we've come so far that our community is so strong that now it's like a crime to be straight.
So there you have it. There is the clip in question. Now, did she say anything wrong in that clip?
Yes, she did. First off, saying you're going to grow up to be gay makes absolutely no sense. You're either gay or you're not. Sexual orientation is not something that you grow up to be. That's not how that works. Secondly, she said, being obsessed with a boy doesn't mean I don't represent the queer community. No, actually, you don't represent the queer community. That's like an Asian person saying they represent the black community because they're not white. You're still in a heterosexual relationship. Like Aria talked about in the first clip of this video, it's ridiculous for her to claim that Renee Rapp might fall for a man in the future, which is literally the same thing conservative homophobes always say to lesbians, that we might just find the right man and not be lesbians anymore. Very disgusting and lesbophobic statement. Betty also said, now our community has come so far that it's now a crime to be straight. The level of delusion, privilege, and ignorance it takes to make a statement like that. Has Betty, who forgotten that homosexuality is still illegal in several countries today? Has she forgotten that most lesbians don't have the right to get married or adopt? I don't know which community she's talking about that has come so far, but I sure know it's not the gay community. But of course, the expert on all things lesbian, Miss Hetero Amala, doesn't see anything wrong with what she said.
There is the clip in question. Now, did she say anything wrong in that clip? Hell no. They're now calling her lesbophobic. I've heard a lot of phobics in my day. A lesbophobic is not necessarily new, but the flippancy with which this word is being thrown out, be so for real, you guys, okay?
I'm so sorry, Amala, that it's so inconvenient and annoying to you that a marginalized group that you're not a part of, that you know nothing about, has a word to describe the oppression that marginalized group faces. I'm so sorry that that offends and irritates you so much.
Lesbophobic, she is being called now. Now, she says jokingly that straight has become illegal with the way that we've sort of politicized things, with the way we talk about these communities and self-identification. And she's not necessarily wrong.
Oh, really? She's not wrong? Then quickly point to any country on this map where being straight is illegal. I'm waiting. Because I can show you several countries where being gay would instantly get you sentenced to death.
This sort of tribalistic view that once you have labeled yourself as part of a group, you are part of that group till the day you die. You must toe the line in the ideology of that particular group, or you're done for. You are not accepted anymore.
Let's get something clear. The reason gay people don't like it when someone claims to be gay one day and then starts dating someone of the opposite sex, the next isn't because straight people are now somehow oppressed. It's because it pushes the homophobic notion that conversion therapy works and that gay people can be quote-unquote fixed after all. I've talked about this in detail a billion times on this channel, but these ignorant, privileged heteros never want to listen.
There's plenty of evidence that what she's saying is actually true. We've watched recently as JoJo Siwa, a young girl who identified as queer, took on a straight relationship dating this guy named Chris Hughes. Now, she was getting flamed online by the LGBTQ plus community who once claimed her, saying that it's ridiculous that she should find herself in an opposite sex relationship.
Again, with the lies. I've also talked about JoJo Siwa several times on this channel and how problematic and homophobic she is. JoJo Siwa got hate for cheating on her girlfriend on live television after lying about being a lesbian. She basically said the word lesbian is disgusting.
I don't like the word itself. It's just like lesbian. It's just like a lot. But I mean, at the end of the day, that's what I am. So it's like, it just is, it's like the word moist. It's just like, ugh.
And said, fuck lesbians on national television.
I feel like so queer. You know I'm queer. And I think that's really cool. You know what? I'm switching letters! You're a queer bitch. Fuck the hell, I'm more than you! You are too, honey. That's what I love about sexuality. And you know what brings people of more than anything is a Q.
She's even getting less hate now for dating a man compared to when she was dating women. Or have you forgotten how the internet always made fun of everything she did? She didn't get hate because she found herself. You're just intentionally deciding to play dumb and miss the point of what gay people have been saying. You have no right to talk about the things lesbians have a problem with if you're not even going to bother to listen to why we have a problem with them in the first place. This is honestly just exhausting. Let's keep going.
We have another example. There's a singer-songwriter by the name Fletcher who started dating a man, even though she identified as lesbian or queer, something along those lines. And she came out with, I shit you not, an entire song titled Boy, where she essentially apologizes for having fallen in love with a man. You are okay to be in a romantic relationship with whoever you want to be in a romantic relationship with. You are okay to think you're part of one label and then to switch up and realize that you're not. You're okay to not label anything. Okay,
I honestly don't know what it is with opposite sex attracted people's obsession with self-victimizing themselves. Again, Amala is intentionally missing the point of why people are angry with what Fletcher did. I've already spoken about the situation with Fletcher on this channel. You can watch that video after this. No gay person ever said it's not okay for you to be in a relationship with who you want. No one ever said it's not okay to think you're one thing and later realize you're not. You are acting like gay people are all coming together to hold Fletcher down and beat her with a stick. You're not oppressed for being in a heterosexual relationship. Nobody is.
Another says, Betty, who on that podcast tells Renee Rapp to hold space. And then why are we still pushing the narrative that lesbians just haven't found the right man yet? Is that what she said?
Someone please explain to Amala what pushing a narrative means, because she obviously doesn't get it. No one said that's what Betty explicitly said. The problem is, that's the narrative she's pushing. For the love of God, this is basic English language. But if you are looking for someone who has actually said that, take a look at Miley Cyrus, a bisexual woman who only dates men, who explicitly says it for herself.
I know, I was being a little too, I was just being, I don't know, hardcore feminist vibes and just, I don't know, not allowing anyone in, but now I am. There are good men out there, guys, don't give up. You don't have to be gay. There are good people with dicks out there. You just gotta find them. You gotta find a dick that's not a dick, you know what I mean?
You don't have to be gay.
I know. I always thought I had to be gay because I just thought, all guys were evil, but it's not true. There are good people out there that just happen to have dicks.
According to Miley, being gay and being a feminist is what women do when they're bitter that their last boyfriend cheated on them or when men hurt them.
I do think there is a huge problem with specifically white bisexual women who have fallen in love with men, and that has been their experience, painting everybody else's experience with the same brush to say, well, this happened for me, so surely it could happen for you too, which again, people are gay, honey. People are gay. I am gay, so no, that's actually never gonna fucking happen for me.
What this woman just said is very correct. A lot of bisexual and straight people find it hard to grasp that actual female homosexuality exists. That there are women out there who, no matter what you do, will never be attracted to men. So to keep pushing that they could is just insulting at this point.
It almost becomes meaningless to respond to it.
Yet here you are responding every single time. Because you just want those clicks and that monthly check.
And then I just became obsessed with a boy. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yes, I am with a boy now. I've changed. I'm softer. I've left that life of chaos behind.
Okay, and I'm not even going to dignify this by watching the entire video. You guys get what's happening here, right? Okay.
Whether you like it or not, lesbians are allowed to be upset that we're losing more and more representation every day. Lesbians make up less than 3% of the world's population. Yet you're allowed to get upset that lesbians got 10 seconds of representation in a Disney movie, but lesbians apparently aren't allowed to show a flicker of emotion when more and more celebrities and influencers who claimed to be lesbians are all suddenly dating men.
That is worthy of discussion given the way we talk about sexuality and we push orientation onto people.
So who exactly are the ones pushing their sexual orientation onto people? Is it homosexual people or the people who make it illegal to be gay? Is it homosexual people or the people who send gay children to conversion therapy camps? Is it homosexual people or the people who send lesbians to go through corrective rape? Is it homosexual people or the ones who bombard every single media we consume with heterosexuality and absolutely loses it if same-sex couples are shown for more than 5 seconds on screen?
Interestingly enough, in another example I gave of JoJo Siwa, she said a large part of the reason that she identified as queer and lesbian and started going to the pride parades and becoming such a motivator for the LGBTQ plus movement is because she felt pressured to identify within the group by people within the group.
The homophobe, JoJo herself, has given no proof of this. She has given zero evidence that anybody, quote-unquote, pressured her to call herself a lesbian and advocate for the community. She literally just said that as an excuse to try to get away with cheating on her girlfriend with a man and lying about being a lesbian to avoid accountability. To Amala and every other straight and bi person watching, learn to stay out of lesbians' fucking business and mind your own. You are not a lesbian. Thus, it's not your place to tell us what affects us and what we should or shouldn't get upset by. You don't know more about the oppression lesbians face than lesbians themselves. Again, stay out of our business.